Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with this lovely young lady, Kiana Ford. She's one of my dance students, and she's a teacher herself. She's also a very accomplished ballet dancer. In fact, she spent a great deal of time with the Joffrey Ballet. So today we're going to hear about this experience and some other advice for young dancers. So why don't you start by telling us, where you're from and how you got started dancing and a little bit about your background.
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in Juneau, Alaska in the United States. My parents put me into dance when I was 3, like most young children. And but I was really active. I played soccer. I was on the volleyball team, ski race. So dance wasn't my only, extracurricular activity. But I really started getting into it more when I was around like 11 or 12, I guess. We started doing Nutcracker when I was that age. So Nutcracker is obviously a very big deal.
Yes.
And I got to be Clara. So
that's great.
That was,
wow.
Yeah,
the
really
lead.
Nice. Yeah.
So I understand you spent quite a bit of time with the Joffrey Ballet. That's one of the world's most famous ballet companies, and I'm sure it was difficult to get into it. So would you like to talk about that experience? How did you start with Joffrey, and what was it like?
Yeah, I first auditioned for them when I was 13 for their summer program. And I auditioned for a couple other places. I think Ballet West was one, maybe Pacific Northwest Ballet. But I ended up going to Joffrey because I had family in Chicago. So I knew I would be able to see them for a bit and then go train.
Sense.
And so I actually sent in a video audition the first time I auditioned. Got in, was really excited, did the summer program, and decided I wanted to come back for another summer program next year. So I did the same thing, sent in a video, got accepted, and while I was there, they let everyone know if you wanted to audition for the year-round program, you could do that. All you had to do was fill out a form, and they would just evaluate you while you were in class. So, which was really nice. It was totally free, which I think is really important, especially with dancers, because everything is very expensive, and a lot of programs don't do that. So I auditioned and got accepted, and so when I got accepted, that was when I was like, okay, maybe
this is it.
Maybe this is something that I really need to take seriously and really do. So,
and how old were you then?
I was 14.
Okay.
So I was just coming out of 8th grade in the US, and my parents were kind of ready for a change. They had been thinking about moving for a bit. So they kind of talked to me, and they were like, if you really want to do this, we'll support you, and we will move to Chicago.
Oh, so they decided to move from Alaska to the continental US. And mainly because of this transition. Which I think was amazing. I mean, very dedicated parents.
I know a lot of parents would not do that, so I love them to death. So we ended up moving after my freshman year. So I was 15 by that point, and I started next year, which was pretty amazing. So how many years in total did you spend with Joffrey? Full years, I spent 3 in the dance academy, and then I spent 1 as a trainee, still technically in the dance academy, but also dancing with the company as well. So that was in your high school years? Yeah, so I did, my last 3 years of high school was in the academy, and then I took a gap year between high school and college to be a trainee. Okay, very good. So the dance world tends to be extremely competitive, and there tends to be a lot of issues with young dancers. So how did you stay strong in the face of all these challenges? I think the main thing for me was just being realistic, I felt like. And a lot of times we don't really think about like the real world and what we're actually striving towards and what we can sustain. So for me, it was really about, analyzing myself and analyzing my goals and seeing, okay, what is the next step? Like, how can I move this forward without compromising on other parts of my life? Which I feel like is really important. So you tried to achieve a balance. Yeah, for sure. Like, when I was a trainee, I not only was a trainee, but I worked as well. So I would dance from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and then right after that I would go and work. Okay, so you had a little bit of a real life. A bit, yeah.
And what did you do for a job then?
I was a hostess at a really fancy steakhouse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. Got to meet some famous Chicagoans, which was pretty cool.
Okay.
And then I think the other thing too is just like managing burnout. I mean, burnout
this is a big thing.
Huge thing in the dance world. And you know, sometimes people just push themselves way too much and don't start recognizing the signs of burnout, I feel like.
Yeah, physically and mentally, right?
Yeah. So if you get past that certain point, it's just like you just don't want to do it anymore, and it's kind of like no turning back. So
did you never reached that point, I think?
I think I reached it a little bit towards the end of my trainee year, because at that point I needed to decide if I wanted to stick with dance or if I wanted to go to college and get a degree and all that stuff. And you know, audition season rolls around in January, so you really don't have a lot of time to prepare between your first year and your second year, because it's midway through your first year that you have to decide if you're going to stick with it or if you're going to go to college. So I felt like during audition season I was kind of a little bit burnt out. I felt like I didn't really, you know, go to all the auditions that I could have and all that stuff, but it wasn't to the point where I felt like I wanted to completely quit dance. Like, you know, it was just kind of like, you know, it's really like stressful. I'm kind of tired. I was dealing with a couple injuries. So at that point, it's just kind of like, you know, you get kind of tired of it. So
true. That's natural. I mean, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And your whole life circulates around it.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
Everything you do, from how much you sleep, what you eat, how much you socialize.
Yeah.
Who you socialize with.
Sewing point shoes, buying point shoes, all that stuff.
Bending them.
Yeah. It's
and
just
then
constant.
every week a new pair and rehearsals and I mean, you don't really have time to think about other things that normal kids are thinking about and doing.
Yeah, especially when you're 18, you know, you're still living with your parents, you know, it's kind of like you want to be independent, but
you need support.
You still need support, so it's kind of like trying to find that balance, you know. Yeah.
But it sounds like you did a good job of achieving that most of the time, and I think burnout is a natural thing that all dancers go through at one point or another, you know, either partially or fully.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think it takes nowadays to become successful in the dance world, but specifically as a ballerina?
I think that one of the main things is versatility.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people, you know, call us bunheads because that's all we're about, is being a bunhead, you know.
And it's not like that anymore.
It's not. It's really not. You got to be good at, you know, contemporary, modern, even like, you know, hip hop and stuff. So
because you just never know what the choreographer is going to throw at you. It could be a mix of ballet and jazz one day, and then another choreographer comes and it's a mix of jazz and who knows what, you know. We
had a thing during my trainee year called Choreographer's Workshop, and it was actually called Winning Works, and it was for choreographers of color. So they would bring in, people would apply to be a choreographer, and then they would bring in these choreographers.
Great.
And I remember the first, because they would bring them in like separate weeks, and then they would like pick people who they wanted to be in their show. And the first choreographer we had, I think he made us improv like across the floor to like some really intense like African music. And
just to see what you would do with it.
And it was just so totally outside my comfort zone. Like
I could imagine.
I was like, who is this person? Like, what are they making us do? But it was really good. I think it's important to, you know, push
to
students.
break out of your paradigms
like that.
So do you have any other advice, you know, for young dancers? I mean, anything else you'd like to mention to anyone who's listening today?
I think that, especially for young ballet dancers, you know, everyone wants to get into those like top programs, especially for summer intensives. And I think it's really important not to just look at the top programs, but programs that, you know, if you're trying to take that next step, that could be your future. You know, I feel like so many people just focus on those big programs that barely anyone will make it into the company.
And then they say, if I don't get into that, I'm not good enough or something.
Like that's it. So I feel like it's important to explore other options. Not only that too, but dance at college. I felt like, looking back, I kind of wish that I had explored more dance college options. I knew I never wanted to get a degree in dance. I wanted to get a degree in something else, but it would have been nice to still have that option, you know, to go to a college that had a really good dance program. Yeah.
Well, Kiana, it was so nice talking to you today. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Actually, that was a lot of really good advice. So I'm sure it's going to be valuable to anyone who's watching and who's, an aspiring dancer.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot, and
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So thanks everyone for being here with me today to listen to this interview with the lovely Kiana Ford. And don't forget to click subscribe below and hit the notification button to get more advice for dancers and dance tutorials. See you next time.